As a gateway to multiple cultures with minimal barriers, JP Porchfest is well positioned for a comeback. After a year off, the free event will take place outdoors, but this time over 2 days, August 21st and 22nd. Along with putting more focus on artists of color, this year's event will be accessible in a hybrid fashion with online performances in a couch fest starting August 16th. To tell us about the lineup is our guest from the host organization, Dunamis. We'd like to welcome its Director of Marketing and Community Development, Neo Gcabo. Thank you very much for being with us, Neo.
Thank you for having me today.
First of all, tell us a little bit about Dunamis and its association with Porchfest in the past.
Sure. So I'll start off with Dunamis. Dunamis is a nonprofit organization that serves artists and arts managers of color by providing them with professional development training. We've been in this business for about 5 years, and we've been lucky enough to actually perform at Porchfest. Our executive director, Jay Cottle, has had a very close relationship with the previous producers of Porchfest, Mindy and Marie, and he kind of worked with them as their volunteer coordinator one year. And then, like I said earlier on, we had the opportunity as Dunamis to curate a porch of our own where each of us actually got to perform in our respective ways. I'm a singer as well, so I got to perform. And our executive director is part of a band called Petrichor, and his band got to perform as well. So there's always been this relationship that we've had with Porchfest. And so it's kind of an honor for us to be spearheading the Porchfest festival this year.
What was it like for you when you were performing?
Gosh, I mean, I've performed in many different spaces, but I think there's something that's so heartwarming about Porchfest. It's a community arts festival. There's nothing like standing there and having people walk by, stopping with their families, their dogs, their friends to just enjoy this festival. So for me, it felt like I was hanging out with some of my closest friends to just have a good time and enjoy what JP had to offer. So it was an exciting experience.
Explain what that experience is like, because it's not just going to hear a particular band. It's really a sort of a random walk.
Yes, it is. And I think that's what makes it so exciting is that you could walk by a porch and have no real idea what you're about to see and stop by and fall in love with what you're about to experience. And that's what we really love about Porchfest is that it allows you to just walk around and experience every and any kind of performance, from music to dance to circus acts to storytelling. There's just so much to explore. And it also gives us the opportunity to showcase Jamaica Plain as a neighborhood, right? There's just so much that you can see in that neighborhood. There's such a cultural it's such a cultural hub. So I think that makes it really exciting as well.
Well, talking about the sort of mix, I think this year's version, there is more of an effort to concentrate on people of color, especially Black or Indigenous. What was the thinking around that?
So like I said, the mission of Dunamis is to support that community. But even along the mission of Porchfest before we came along, Mindy and Marie had always wanted to support those communities because they understood how important those communities are in Jamaica Plain. So we thought that if this is the work that we're doing, why not take this opportunity to highlight those organizations and to highlight those performers and give them opportunities that they may not have experienced before. So that really was the thinking behind it, intentionality, and making sure that we do our best to showcase those who deserve to be showcased.
I imagine in past years, the opportunity for performers was mainly a chance to encounter new listeners or spectators, but they weren't getting paid directly. Now you're thinking differently. Why is that?
Chris, 2020 has been a tough year for everyone. And I think that financially, creatives and artists were hit very, very hard. But at Dunamis, we believe in paying people for their work. And that is why we have thought about this new concept of doing our best to pay as many performers as we can based off of the funding that we've worked on acquiring. So we just think it's super, super important to let people know that even though this is a community arts festival, we want to say thank you in a monetary way to let them know that they are indeed valuable and their work is valuable.
how important that is to a performer, because I don't imagine anybody's getting a windfall here, but just getting even a modest amount, what does that say to a musician, especially for morale?
Yeah, I think that it really our aim is to dispel this thing that you should just continue to do your work for free. You know, our aim is to really empower, especially emerging artists who are still confused about what the industry might look like, who might be doing work for free. We're really trying to give them the opportunity to say, if this is something that you want to continue to do for the rest of your life, then you need to be able to make sure that you can say, I am worth this amount of money, and I will not do this until I get paid for the work that I do. Because we're not only just paying them for their talent, but we're paying them for the work that they've put in to prepare. Maybe some of them have gone to, a school where they've trained to be this good. So we want to empower them to believe that they can indeed survive and thrive being a creative or being an artist in Boston.
In years before the pandemic, in this event, it was a scattered site phenomenon, but at the same time, there were these places where people would bunch up, and that was okay. This year, you're going to have to police that maybe, or do something else to spread it around. So how would that work?
Well, this year, what we've done is, like we said, we have limited the number of porches each day. You know, in the past, Porch Fest would bring about 10,000 people. We don't expect 10,000 people this year. We expect a significantly, smaller amount. We've put it over 2 days so that we can make sure that there's some kind of an equal balance of crowds, but also we've put in check-in points around those the around JP to make sure that people can check in those places, how many we can monitor how many people have come, but also we've set up sanitizing stations in those places to make sure that people have that as an option as well. And because there aren't as many porches, we are able to spread out the map just a little bit more so that people don't have to feel like they're crowded in one space.
Now, I know you're not necessarily organizing this, but in past years, when you had 10,000 people descending on JP, I'm sure there was a ripple effect on restaurants and cafes. But what do you think it'll be like this year?
I of course think that there won't be, like I said, there won't be as many people. But what we've done is we are partnering with one of the JP Center Streets, and they will be highlighting some of the businesses on an app called, I believe it's called Bright Travel or Brighter Travel. And this app is a place where people can check the local businesses and what they have to offer. So we're partnering with them to make sure that businesses are still highlighted at Porchfest, because we do understand that it does bring in a certain amount of people, and we want them to see what JP has to offer.
One more thing, the hybrid element here. In fact, I suppose you can do the hybrid and the in-person if you really can't get enough of it. But how does the Couch Fest work?
Well, from the perspective of a citizen or a porch, a concert goer, we decided that people might not be comfortable going outside just yet. And so in that way, we created JP Couch Fest, which allows people to watch performances from their homes. And like you said, it starts on the 16th. But as performers, anybody could sign up. Even if you're performing in person, you could very well sign up to perform for Couchfest. But we thought that it would be a great precursor to get us started for the actual event, and give people the opportunity to still perform even if they're not comfortable, performing outside. So yeah, we thought that it would be a great way to integrate people's abilities to perform.
Well, I can imagine you might have more details emerging, maybe some updates. So if people want to find that on social media, where should they look?
They should absolutely follow our Instagram page and our Facebook page, and that is at Jamaica Plain Porch Fest for both of those. And you could also follow Dunamis's page. Updates will be on that as well. And our handle is at Dunamis Boston for Facebook and for Instagram.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time and sharing the preview.
Thank you so much, Chris.
That was Neo Gcabo from Dunamis and JP Porchfest. We'll have more news in just a moment.